Hello, my name is Abraham Lee, and today I'm doing a Half-Life Alyx workshop tutorial on cover volumes. Cover volumes are these pink squares I have here, called AI markup underscore HLVR. They're a mesh entity with the cover strong AI property flag ticked. If you don't see it, you can hit the plus sign here and it'll drop down. This tutorial will not cover the basics. I'm assuming that you have those handled, and you sort of already know how to make most of most of the stuff in Half-Life Alyx, and this is just sort of some more advanced techniques. Anyway, so I have a video that goes into more detail about the Combine's combat behavior, but cover volumes are a big part of that, and that's basically how they decide most of their functions or actions. They search a cover volume for line of sight and then run there. And when they do that, they don't really deviate when they're running to one, which is why it's really important to place them well. So I'll go into a little bit more about how to place them well in a bit, but let me cover a little bit more about the basics of how they function. So I have this basic setup here. I have the player's going to start over here in this corner. I'm going to spawn a Combine when they cross this trigger, and they're going to run here and try to shoot me. Really quickly, this Alyx here, you'll probably see them throughout as I go through this tutorial. It's an Alyx model. If I zoom in real quick, in case you can't tell, it's a prop static, and I'm using the render properties to set the start and fade distance. Combine soldiers have something that's called advance range, and that's basically deciding how close they can get to something when they try to pick where they're going to shoot from. So I use that for quick reference. The default value is 250. And I just set this Combine's 1 to 200 just because of how small the space is. Anyway, so let's get in game, and I can start talking about them a little bit more. Before I start this off, let me just give you a useful console command. AI debug. Let me actually show this to you so you can see what I'm typing out. AI debug LOS2. And this will actually show the cover volumes in game. The ones where there's some more in here because this is an example map, but the three you're worried about is this one, and this one. So just try to keep it in mind. I will bring them up and on as needed because they are annoying to look at because they go through walls and they're all green and just makes it hard to see things. So anyway, I'm gonna go. When I cross this line, you're gonna see some debug information pop up on the Combine soldier that spawns. I use a console command called npc_combat. And you can see it running right now. That just gives them some basic information, gives you an idea of what the AI is thinking right now. And you'll see on the ground there's this green sort of line that follows me around. And depending on your resolution, it might be hard to see. But this is basically a visual representation of the advance range of this soldier. So he tries not to get this close to me. He still will, and I'll show you when that happens and how in a second. But this is basically a good way to kind of visually see where he can go and where he can't. So I'm going to try and get close to this guy and maybe get him to. All right, he's going to reload, and you'll see when he comes out again. Yeah, if I duck into this hallway, if I duck in this hallway, he should move over there. Yeah, and you see when he sees me again, he doesn't really. Get him to pausing. Okay. Yeah, so he starts shifting around a lot between cover. If I shoot him, he should. Yeah, he's running to cover over there. So he's shifting around a lot, and that's sort of what cover volumes do. If you don't have those, he doesn't really work like that, and he looks kind of smart. I mean, he looks kind of dumb and not very smart. So I have one here, and if I take cover, he's not going to try and advance to it because he can't actually select it. But you'll see in a second that he's going to still want to advance on me, and he's going to do something else instead. So let's see if I can trigger that. And he's overwatching. Come on, dude. Okay, so you're going to see him run, and he's run straight up to me. What he's actually doing, okay, once he runs away, yeah, reload, dude. Yeah, you better run. What he's actually trying to do is he's actually trying to run here. And, but because he's not using cover volumes, he's a little bit, as soon as he sees me, he stops shooting. This can make them look really dumb and kind of either run straight up to a player, because these line of sight checks aren't quite as accurate as cover volume ones. So they tend to make pretty dumb decisions, run out in the open, and do a bunch of weird things. Okay, if I can get him to do that again. Oh yeah, like that was pretty dumb, him running up, and that's also really bad for VR. But anyway, let me kill this guy real quick, and jump and show you how I'm going to try and mitigate that. So same kind of basic setup over here, but this time I've moved this wall forward. Same exact setting, everything else. Let me move over to that room. 1 second. Alright, so now I'm over here. Different room. As you see now that this wall is closer. So when I trigger him, and he comes and sees me, it's going to take him a little bit. Okay, he sees me, makes contact. Alright. He's gonna pause. Oh, he's suppressing me. Okay, great. Just gonna wait for it. Okay, he's reloading. Then he should try and look at me again. Okay, he's doing the thing out in the open. Alright, I thought this back up, dude. Run away. This is probably a good time to mention that this entire scenario is a really bad combat situation. But I'm mostly showing it for demonstration purposes. So, alright, get out of cover. If I get this right. Okay, he's gonna want to. Right, he's moving over there. Come on, dude. Ah, and you see his shadow. He stopped in front of the advanced range. And I think he's trying to get line of sight there. He can't really fit over here, so he's not navigating there. Let me see if I can trigger that again. Get real close up to this. If I had a hallway, yeah, see, it couldn't find shoot position, if you can read that. If I had a hallway over here, he might even try getting behind me and just run straight into me again. So yeah, that's why cover volumes are important. And why it's kind of important to know how they attack, or else you can get situations where you want them to be defensive and they'll be charging you. But this is a horrible combat scenario for the main reason that there's not a lot of line of sight that they can't really get line of sight to me easily. And if I were to somehow get him over here, like you saw when he did that move where he try and run along here to get over there. This is the shortest route for him as well, so he's not using that doorway because it's so far away. So I am going to try and make a better combat scenario really quickly here and show you it in the editor, and then we'll cover a little bit how I'm setting up cover in that area. So I'm moving over here. So this is my better combat scenario. Let me just hide stuff real quick and dive down into here. So some of the changes I made was very clearly opening up this wall. This just makes it easier for them to see me, and the cover here is a lot more dynamic. So earlier, if the Combine made it to this door, he could shoot me from the door, and I really wouldn't have anywhere I could go. Now I can kind of duck behind this pillar. And this pillar actually used to be a lot stronger, but I did some testing on my own, and I made it a little bit smaller, just so it's not quite as strong. But yeah, so I can duck behind here. There's a lot of dynamic angles. I'm also going to spawn 2 Combine just to kind of show the squad AI a little bit more in action and control a little bit more about how they move about the space. And on top of that, I've added some more cover for the player. There was one other thing. Oh yeah, I added this doorway here. So this doorway makes movement a lot easier. So if a Combine's shooting me from like this pillar here and he wants to move over to that crate, he doesn't have to run all the way around through that door and over to that crate. He can just take this door and get there really quickly. That's why movement's so important. So anyway, I'm going to unhide everything. Hide Alyx real quick at the trigger. So here's some. I already set up some cover volumes ahead of time. This is probably a good time to mention that when setting up a cover volume, you need to make sure that it's on the nav mesh. I'm assuming you know how to generate a nav mesh and the basics of that, but just in case you don't know, these 3 layers all represent the different type of NPCs that can run on the nav mesh. This middle layer is antlions. This second layer here, if you can see my mouse, is Combine soldiers, and this other one on the edge is headcrabs. So you want to make sure that these cover volumes are covering the navigation mesh that the soldiers can fit on, or else they just won't do anything. I don't think height actually matters for these things. I made it taller because I'm superstitious, but for the most part, I think they just mock up the nav mesh. Anyway, so I have cover placed here, cover placed there. This cover in this doorway here is actually a bad idea, because it kind of blocks navigation. Because a good way to think about how to place cover volumes is where you want the AI to stand. And so I don't want an AI standing inside of this doorway. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I could make this smaller as well, just to make sure that they don't stand in front of the doorway, but they're still going to be congesting that space. So I am just going to remove that. I'm also going to remove this one back here. This isn't as bad as that one, But I want the AI to spread out a little bit, so I don't really want two guys shooting from me here. If someone's shooting from me here, he'd probably better off shooting me from like one of these cover spaces. So I'm going to remove this one as well. I'm leaving this one back here for multiple reasons. The main one is if I push up into this pillar, the Combine don't really have a lot of good spaces to take cover from me, other than like behind this table and maybe this crate over here. So I threw this over here just to make sure that they could take cover, put their reference position on the wall to help them do that. In an ideal scenario, I probably have another piece of cover in the back, and like an absolute fallback position if the player pushes really far up. But I'm not doing that here, just to kind of keep the AI more present in the battle. I don't want them running far away to try and shoot me. And also in case, like, let's say you have like a story beat around the corner. This is a good way to keep things kind of controlled. You don't want them running all the way around, then you'd have to like mess with like AI clipping and a bunch of other stuff that it's just a lot more work. This is just easier. But we're not quite done here yet. So I still want the AI to use this doorway here. So, but I don't want them getting in the way. So I'm putting this here to act as a piece of cover for them. Now this isn't great cover, but it's important to remember that they use these spaces to attack and defend. So I'm going to uncheck that real quick and show it to you. There's some more pieces here, but I'm going to talk about them in a little bit. So yeah, so I just have this surrounding this. Now if this was a very linear situation, I could have this cover basically... one, they also don't have to be on grid. I feel like that's important to mention. They don't have to be on grid. They can be weird shapes. I'm not entirely sure how the bounding box works, but you can rotate them. If this was a more linear situation, I could put the cover volume there, because you don't really want them to shoot in front of the piece of cover. That doesn't look that great, but because of how dynamic this space is, I want them to be able to take cover. Like if I'm over here, let's say, I want them to be able to take cover behind this thing as well if they manage to loop their way all the way around. So we're going to keep it that size. On top of that, the important thing about these cover volumes is that they're near a space they can take cover. So like if someone's shooting me from in front of this pillar, they can very quickly get into cover behind the pillar, as opposed to if they were shooting me out in the open or somewhere else. So even if the cover volume, like even if they end up standing in front of the cover you want them to be behind in a more situation where you can't really like control the volume, the way the cover is facing as much, that's okay, because they can still quickly get into cover. Now I'm also going to add a cover volume here, and I'm also going to add a cover volume here as well. Hide all that real quick. So the reason I'm doing that is because while the player's going to be fighting from here, this is a dynamic situation. So if I push all the way in here, I want the Combine to be able to flank me behind this pillar, or near this pillar in this cover volume. Now it's not great because this is a relatively narrow space, and in an ideal situation I'd have a much better route for them to take. But let's say, for example, you have something like a puzzle in another room or something and you can't really change the width of this hallway. You just have to make sacrifices. It's not always going to be perfect. What matters is that it's perfect most of the time, or good or decent anyway. So like the Combine could really get up close to me trying to run over here. So I'm going to try and discourage that by adding another cover volume here. So this way, So this way, if he's pushing up on me, he will most likely pick the closest cover volume. When squad tactics get involved, that's not always the case, but he'll often pick the closest cover volume to himself that has line of sight. So he'll be less likely to run all the way to this thing and find someone to shoot in here. If I'm right up against this, he won't do that, and he'll likely run over here just because of how advanced range works. But that's okay, because I have a window here, so the player can't really get in front of him. And if anything, it makes them look smarter, because they're really committing to running all the way over there. And then the final addition I'm going to make, I should mention really quickly that I finagled this cover volume a little bit because the Combine were having trouble shooting me when they come around this corner. So I just made this a little bit bigger so that they could fit. Anyway, so I also have a cover volume here. And this plays into what I was talking about earlier with this table, where this isn't really a good place for them to take cover, but it does make them a harder target to hit because there's a bunch of collision on these small things. So you don't necessarily, so cover volumes, you don't necessarily need them somewhere that's like a really good defensible position. You can also have them in a place where it looks like they're taking cover. They're not really taking cover, and you could throw it out in the middle of nowhere. But it's enough to make it seem like the AI's trying not to get shot as much. Anyway, let's hop in game and see how this works. Pull over there real quickly. Just to show you real quickly. So yeah, there's all the cover volumes. You can see that one's tilted there. And it's relatively cramped. And you really do want a lot of these, especially in close quarter situations, where the AI needs to have a lot of spaces close to them for them to get line of sight. So let's get these guys spawned. And they're going to move in. All right, they're getting stuck on each other. Hopefully they're going to start spreading out. Let me take cover some. All right, he's moving out to the left. He's coming in close. Ah, perfect. So he's going right there. Now, even now, you can kind of see if he had picked to shoot from in front of here, and I took cover here and then moved in there, he would have gotten really close to me. So like there's even edge cases now that this entire area isn't perfect, but it works well enough. They're moving around, they're moving in trace places, they're ducking and weaving, and they're not getting caught in each other. Nice, he's ducking in to get into there. I could have had a cover volume back there, but eh. Now this guy, if I move here, he's gonna move over there to get a better position. Let me kill one of these guys so we're not dealing with as many people. I don't want the squad AI freaking out. Yeah, see that guy's taking cover behind the table. If I go here, yeah, he's going all the way behind the pillar, and he's in front of it, yes, but he's still in decent enough cover. And if I shoot him some, there, he's fleeing to cover. Yeah, he takes cover behind the pillar, so he's still acting smart. Let me see if I can get him to move away from that. So if I stand here, he's going to start shooting me. But because it's in the advanced range, he's not going to use it. He's going to start running away. Come on. Come on. Okay, dude. Run away. Don't. Okay, you're not running. There we go. Now he's running. And he's wounded. Okay, well. When they, what's the word? When they take cover, they don't respect advanced range. So they can take cover close to you or far away from you. Doesn't really matter. But establish line of fire and cover. Yeah, see, so he's picking somewhere over there, and he's basically running in front of me. So they don't consider advanced range when moving around. So to make that movement better, I probably would have opened up this wall so he could move through it. So he wouldn't have to do weird looping S-turns or whatever the heck. Yeah, so that's why that's very important. So that's the basics of how it works and how to apply it. The main thing to understand is just to keep those line of sights open and make sure that the AI have cover volume so that they can take advantage of it. Like, if you don't have them anywhere good, they're going to make dumb movements. And if you need help understanding what decisions they're making, you can always use those console commands I mentioned earlier. So let's drop back in editor, and I will show you some tricks of the trade and neat techniques that now that you understand the basics of them, that you can use to kind of for some special situations you might wander into. So let me go over here. So going over to this room. Oh, let me hide that. Sorry about that. So this room, I have this linear cover, so they don't take cover in front of it, and I have this sort of balcony area. Now the Combine are going to spawn back here. I made this doorway wider so they don't get caught in each other, but they still kind of do, and you might see that in here in a little bit. But I really want the Combine to push up right up against this railing because they have the high ground, so they're in a really well defendable position. And if the player takes cover here, the only real, I'll use the Alyxes as well to demonstrate. It's actually a better example. The only real place they can shoot from is this crate here. If they're up here inside this volume, they can't really shoot you. In here, they can't really shoot you. And I don't want them pushing up this far. I mean, it's fine if one or two of them do it, but having that being the only option they have is not good. So what I'm going to do is make a cover volume that's the entire length of this railing, but move the reference position way back and out of the way. This makes it so that they can only use this space for attacking, because they can't take, there's none of the cover volume behind the reference position, so they can't take cover over there, unlike these pillars or something. So they'll essentially run to the edge of this catwalk, of these railings, shoot down at me, and then if I shoot them or they need to reload, they'll take cover behind this pillar. I also do this on the let me get rid of this, on this landing over here as well in a similar area. I tuck this into the corner. Now they still make line of sight checks when taking cover. So there is absolutely no way they will ever take cover behind this pillar. Now that's great and all, but if I move up here and start engaging them from the stairwell, I don't want them to be able to shoot from here, or want to shoot from here. I want them to try their best to stick on these cover volumes. Like I said, it's not perfect. Like if I stand here, for example, they'd have to move out of their way or move past me to get down here. It's just, it would cause a lot of problem. This position's a little too strong. Ideally, I probably would have pulled this out some more or pushed this wall back some to give them some more cover position to shoot from. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is cover volumes are dynamic entities. So you can actually name them. And like I've named these two positions here, I named them upper cover. And I use this trigger that when the player crosses the threshold, it kills both volumes. And I'll have the debug on so you can actually see that happen. But this is really useful for dynamic situations where you might be using a space more than once for combat, or like even something really fancy like getting Combine to retreat sort of dynamically. You can use this trick as well. You can also spawn them this way too. So in a more dynamic environment, like let's say like pistons are falling down or the place is falling apart, or I don't know. It's an environment that's constantly changing. You don't want these cover volumes to always be here. So you can spawn and kill them as well. There's no inputs for this, so you'd have to use the kill command and something like a point template to spawn them. Anyway, let's hop in game. I'll show you this in action. So here I am. I'm going to cross here. They spawn. He's going to start shooting me. And his buddy's going to get stuck on him. Okay, spread out a little bit, you guys. Come on, guys. Don't have an illegal move. I know, he's in the way. He's being mean. Okay, now they're moving. See, so he went right up to the railing. He's going to do... What the heck is he doing? Oh, he's pushing all the way down. Yeah. So you still... That's still... Like, I have a cover volume over there, but that sort of them being really aggressive is still a problem. And ideally, in this scenario, I probably would have scripted them a little bit more, or paste the spawning, or do some more stuff. But this is the bare bones, just to get the ball rolling. You can start getting fancy with the AI scripting when you're doing this in your own levels. Anyway, so I'm going to show the cover volumes off real quick. Yeah, so you can see there's one along here. There's one that he's standing. This is really hard to see. There's one that he's standing in there. If I get him to fall back, okay, he's retreating. Oh, that looks dope. See, so he's not taking cover on the landing. He's going all the way up there to that piece of cover. Now, when he comes to shoot me... Okay, I said when he comes to shoot me. Okay, when he comes to shoot me... You're suppressing. Okay, you couldn't find a shoot position. Let me kill one of you. You're making this complicated. There we go. So when I go here, he's probably going to go over there. Let's see. Okay, he's moving up. He sees me. Oh, he's going over there. Okay. Oh, come on. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Come on. Oh, over there. Come on, dude. I believe in you. Alright, and it failed, so it's not really going to work. Well, at least you should... Yeah, he's going to stop there. There we go. So if I shoot him if he has to reload, which hopefully he won't do out in the open. I still haven't figured out quite about when grunts reload out in the open or not, but he's low health. I think he's going to... Nope, he's reloading out in the open. Okay, if I shoot him a little bit. Without killing him. There we go, he's running to cover. So he's not going to run behind the pillar, because I literally made it where he can't take cover there. So let me turn the debug real quick. Then when I hit this trigger that you can actually kind of see, bam, they're gone. Now he won't be able to... Okay, well, he's trying to go down the stairs. Okay, back up, dude. Oh my god, I don't want to kill you. Get away from me. No, I said get away. Oh my god. Alright, I'll get away from you. Okay, now he's retreating. So uncooperative, man. Yeah, so now he's taking cover behind that thing. Now he should reload. Hopefully. Maybe he's just too low health. He doesn't want to take cover. No, he is. Okay. Then he should go behind the pillar. Oh, he went behind the desk. Okay. Well, close enough. If I'm using these sort of table props because they're so thin, I'd probably add more props and like boxes and stuff around them to make them better pieces of cover. But this is for demonstration purposes. It makes it easier to see them. Okay, where's my advanced range circle? All right, so if I go here, he should go behind the pillar. Yeah, there he goes. And then when he gets out from behind the pillar, he's either going to go here or over there. Nice, he's still on the pillar. Yeah, so he's not using this space at all to shoot me. So if I, like, take cover here, he's probably going to... Yeah, he's probably not going to be able to hit me. He's going to screw up and do something weird. Well, he's trying. Something's definitely going wrong because you see that quickly flash like that. Okay, so he's moving up. Well, anyway, yeah, so he's not moving up at all. If I had this as the cover position like before, he would totally move up to it. So yeah, that's sort of just the, oh my god. Nice landing, dude. That's sort of the basics of how cover volumes work. I've played so many levels where there either was no cover volumes or they were placed really poorly, and the combine combat just isn't as fun. You don't need to use as many enemies if you can get them to maneuver smartly and, you know, take cover and make themselves hard targets to hit. Because, like, as a community, I think we can make better combine combat. And so hopefully you learned something today. Maybe at least got a little bit more of an insight into how the combine work. And maybe I inspired you a little bit and got some ideas. So, yeah, good luck mapping.